Okay, so I've never seen an interview like this. I mean, the creator of One Piece, Eiichiro Oda, was beasting in this interview, talking about mangaka that he wanted to drag down, talking about the ends of One Piece, certain mysteries. Like, there's a lot of juicy stuff. Also, for the creator of Detective Conan, talking about the reveal of the main villain that people have waited, like, I don't even know what, 20-something years, or over 25 years to check out. Like, there's so much to this interview. So I wanted to bring you guys the entire interview courtesy of the unofficial Weekly Shonen Jump account, as well as another account. I will link it in the description below if you decide you want to read it over there. Greatly appreciate them providing this. But yeah, this interview is legendary, iconic, and I am honestly flabbergasted at how freaking just amazing it is. So without further ado, people, this is the legendary full interview between the creator of One Piece, Eiichiro Oda, and the creator of Detective Conan, Gosho Aoyama. All of the insanity, all of the, I guess you'll say, drama within it. Let's read, baby.
No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done.
Also, quickly, if you would be so kind to hit that subscribe button and that bell to get notified whenever I drop new content, I would greatly appreciate it. I talk about anything and everything in the world of anime and manga. Last year, both One Piece and Detective Conan surpassed 100 volumes, a miraculous dialogue between the two mangaka who have been at the forefront of the manga industry for many years has finally come to fruition. Jump and Sunday back then. In a previous interview, Aoyama Sensei said that it'd be interesting to have a talk with Oda-kun. As comrades who will reach 100 volumes simultaneously, I would like to talk about various things. Oda Sensei answered in a comment that he had never met him but feels like a comrade in arms. I know how tough getting to 100 volumes is, Aoyama-san. Congrats on 100 volumes of Conan. This legendary talk is now finally coming true. Oda-kun doesn't really show his face much, so it's an honor to actually see it. Aoyama-san does show his face in a lot of places though, but I'm really happy. I didn't think I'd ever meet you. Aoyama, me neither, haha. I always thought there wouldn't ever be a future in which I met you. I was pretty impressed earlier because I got a business card from Weekly Shonen Sunday's editor-in-chief. I got a Sunday business card. This kind of stuff actually happens, haha. I've been looking for something you have in common, and it seems Oda-san was born in 1975 while Aoyama-san was born in 1963. You both share the same zodiac sign, having been born in the year of the rabbit. That's right. Do you know about the year of the rabbit legend? Tetsuya Chiba Sensei was born in 1939, and Mitsuru Adachi Sensei was born in 1951. Both of them were also born in the year of the rabbit, separated by 12 years. I was also born 12 years after Mitsuru Adachi Sensei, and you were born 12 years exactly after me. We got no one after that. I wish we could fit Akira Toriyama somewhere, but he doesn't belong to the year of the rabbit. I do have to recognize I've only known much about Weekly Shonen Sunday. Do you have knowledge on other magazines, Aoyama-san? Not really. At first I brought my work to Weekly Shonen magazine, and I was told it didn't really fit with them, so take it to a different publication. That's when I brought my work to Sunday, and that's where I've been since then. You made your debut in 1986, right? What hits were there back then before you debuted? Well, I was a magazine kid, so it's not like I read much of Jump, but I still enjoyed works like 1-2 no Sashiro by Makoto Kobayashi and Orewa Tepe by Tetsuya Chiba. When it comes to Sunday, it was Mitsuru Adachi's Touch. I did read Touch, and also Mitsuru Adachi's Rough. I also remember watching Rumiko Takahashi's Urusei Yatsura TV anime. After debuting, you serialized Magic Kaido, Yaiba, and Third Base, fourth being Detective Conan, your fourth work. Right. Meanwhile, Oda-kun hasn't drawn any other series than One Piece. Indeed, I'm a one-hit wonder. A one-hit wonder with a way too big one hit. What other series were serialized on Sunday when you started Detective Conan? Well, it was truly amazing time back then. Rumiko Takahashi's Ranma 1/2, Kazuhiro Fujita's Ushio no Tora, Mitsuru Adachi's H2, Nishimori Hiroyuki's Kyo Kare Orewa. The lineup was absolutely terrifying. I did read Ranma 1/2. It was really fun. Just reading different magazines, no matter how much time you spend on it, what you end up reading or seeing is completely different too. Back when Detective Conan started, Jump had Akira Toriyama's Dragon Ball and Takahiko Inoue's Slam Dunk. I read Dragon Ball. I loved Toriyama Sensei's art. I was a Jumper at that time, but it's something I wanted to ask if you could ever meet. How did you view Jump back then? Jump sales were incredibly overwhelming during that time, but a bit of conflict came later when Weekly Shonen magazine surpassed its circulation numbers. I have to apologize, but I didn't care at all about that. Ah, so you didn't even bother with it, haha. I would like to ask about your thoughts and memories back when your series started, when you both published your very first chapter. What was it like? I started serializing One Piece in 97, 2 years years after Dragon Ball ended in 95, it was a shock for all newcomers who came to the magazine to claim the series' abandoned throne. At that time, the fight for the place Dragon Ball left would begin, and for 2 years, everyone would get their series compared and completely crushed until I finally survived. Amazing. It was a time in which Dragon Ball and Slam Dunk ended right after the other, and lots of people thought Jump would be in huge trouble. I remember the cover of Jump issue in which my series started appeared on the front page of a newspaper showing the cover of One Piece next to the headline, Jump is overtaken by magazine. And it's not like I had any responsibility over it at all, haha, but I still remember feeling really frustrated. As for me, when the first chapter of Detective Conan was going to be published, I was supposedly going to appear at the center of the cover of the magazine. Thing is, during the World Cup preliminaries, Masashi Nakayama scored a really great goal and my cover was replaced with him. That's why Conan's cover, which was supposed to appear with the first chapter of the series, had the bad luck to appear with the second chapter instead. The competitive spirit created by Jump. What do you two think of each other and other mangaka who have also successful works? After Dragon Ball ended, the world of shonen manga was dominated by two works, Detective Conan and Kendaichi the Case Files. Conan was always winning. Ah, seriously? That was indeed my perspective. Jump's supporting hit work back then was Rurouni Kenshin by Nobuhiro Watsuki. I was one of Watsuki sensei's assistants. I won't really hesitate saying this. We were proud of our seniors led the shonen manga world with battle-focused manga, so we honestly thought mystery manga wouldn't be at the top of shonen manga. Watsuki sensei himself had the stance that if a series wasn't always performing like this, it couldn't be at the top of Jump. That's why I always considered Detective Conan an enemy to me and thus didn't read it. I even had thoughts such as, I'll drag you down. Not joking, I used to think of you as an enemy until now. Holy shit. No way, an enemy? Oh my. Looking at your reply, it seems it was only me who thought we had some sort of rivalry. Please say something like, that's how Jump should be. Have you ever looked at someone as a rival? Not really. When it comes to Kanari Yozaburo, Seimaru Amagi, and Sato Fumiya's The Kendaichi Case Files, I used to have this I won't lose feeling, but they're still series with pretty different genres. When I looked at the whole manga industry and glanced at the top, Detective Conan was always there. I was pretty aware of it all when I was nothing more than a newbie, but it is true that when you reach the top, you stop seeing it. But I was overtaken right away, or am I wrong? I was pretty desperate back then, so I'm not entirely sure how it all went. Since I started this series, I've been trying to do my best for myself, so I stopped looking at my surroundings. That's amazing, but it was really hard for me too. Doing a detective series on my own requires me to always think about my story and art, which leaves me no time to think about any other series. Basically, the moment you start a serialization, you stop looking at what's around you. I have a lot of respect for you, being able to still continue during all this time. Have you thought of rookie manga as your rivals? Rivals? I wonder. I guess others are others, and I am myself. You're pretty peaceful. When did you build that kind of mentality? I would say from the very beginning. For real? Didn't it feel like competition when you were younger? When I was younger, other detective works started to appear on Sunday since Detective Conan was performing well, so I did have that feeling of not wanting to lose, but that's about it. It may sound weird, but I don't think I've ever felt I had an enemy. As I mentioned earlier, the Kendaichi Case Files was there, but it was a different work. I see, your enemy scope are mystery series. Yep. But still, there weren't many mangaka drawing detective series back then, so I felt like it was something I was doing on my own. That's how I concluded others are others, and I am myself. For me, it's been during these past few years that I've been able to keep a similar state of mind. Until now, I've been aware readers often get disappointed if One Piece doesn't get published a new chapter, and I felt responsible for that. It all changed lately thanks to new, younger writers that have grown up in Jump and rather support me even when I'm on break, taking a lot of weight off my shoulders. This is also why I've stopped caring about fighting with other manga series. It truly feels like I finally have the freedom to face my fans at my own pace. Oh, it seems you've been pretty busy until now. I wonder why though. Is Jump's system that bad? Haha, it's a fierce competition. If what you draw is not good enough, it will obviously get cancelled. Is it the same for Sunday? Yes, it is, but on that Sunday from the old days, editors wouldn't tell mangaka their series rankings. After Detective Conan reached chapter 10, I had to ask them to give the rankings to me and started to follow them secretly. Perhaps Jump shows the rankings and questionnaires deliberately to their mangaka in order to fuel their inner fighting spirit. That's something anyone, even I, worries about when starting a series, since you always want to know if you can survive or not. Yaiba, your serialization before Detective Conan managed to reach first place in the rankings 2 times during its final chapters, right? Yes, I was so happy to finally reach first place. I asked the editorial department to put it in my coffin since I was sure I'd die from overwork. I see you had some attachment to numbers. Don't you feel some frustration if you lose those placements then? Yeah, but Detective Conan has been in first place since the series pretty much started. It's a bit odious to say that, so I'll stop. Ha ha ha, I understand that feeling too. How much pressure have you both felt carrying the flagship of the magazine for so long? Pressure? Zero. That's the same for me. I mean, I thought it was Shogakukan's fault for letting me draw this series. I've always been conscious of my own selfishness, so the more my fighting spirit grew, the more I thought it was my whole fault if the series had to end or fell in popularity. That's really hard to imagine. Honestly, if I felt pressure, I wouldn't have been able to draw. Yeah, if you stop to think about it for a second, it's kind of scary how much stuff I sometimes have to carry. I think only people with our kind of personality can survive through all of this. I think so too. What do you think of each other's art? Oda says, it's appealing. It's super appealing. Even when my only knowledge was about art, I thought it was really unique. Honestly, distinct and unusual art styles are the ones who can survive in this manga world. And it wasn't only that, but when I read the series, I felt the mysterious appeal. Kids, adult men, and women can all feel that same charm and become fond of the series, which is why I always thought it would become a success. I was really surprised when I saw there wasn't a scene of Luffy eating the Gumu Gumu no Mi. If it had been me, I would have drawn a Dokun SFX after he ate it. In Detective Conan, the main character also changes his body after consuming a drug, but even if I try to draw those same sensations, I think One Piece expressions feel way fresher. Also, those elder designs from the Gorosei who appear in the Levely arc are amazing. I think he meant Reverie. I honestly don't know how to draw those. I think that was something good from my younger self. I made them appear a long time ago, but when I look back at it now, I don't think their designs were bad at all. Still, those characters haven't really shown their actual value yet. Team Detective Conan, Team One Piece. When it comes to TV anime adaptations, many voices end up overlapping. Yamaguchi Kabe voices Shinichi Kudo, Kaito Kid, and Usopp. Ikeda Shuichi voices Akai and Shanks. Furuya Toru voices Amuro and Sabo. Utoni equally voices Mitsuhiko and Chopper. No wonder they do overlap, considering both anime have been going on for a quarter of a century. When I watched Detective Conan, The Bride of Halloween, I was surprised at how many voices I did recognize. Yuriko Yamaguchi, who voices Nico Robin, appears as Christian Richard. In the Dressrosa arc, there were a lot of voice actors from Detective Conan. Megumi Hayashibara, who voices Ai Haibara, played the role of Rebecca. Furuya Toru, who voices Amuro, also appears as Sabo, a pretty good role. And Ikeda Shuichi voices Shanks in your upcoming film, right, Oda-kun? He also voices Akai Shuichi in Detective Conan, which is a pretty popular role. He didn't appear in your last movie, did he? In The Bride of Halloween? But in Detective Conan, he does appear more frequently, right? In One Piece, many times the members of the crew have to separate, so there's a lot of examples of regular characters who take holidays quite often. Sanji came to dub me for the first time after 3 years. It took 7 years since Akai left and appeared again, and even thought of spoiling it after 2 years had passed. Vermoth had took 5 years to appear once again in the TV anime since her last appearance. I didn't expect for the TV anime to continue for so long. Many of the voice actors are getting old. Some time ago, Mayumi Tanaka, who voices Luffy, asked us with worry what would happen if she died, so Masako Nozawa, who voices Kureha, told her, if you die, I'll take your role. I hope they all stay as healthy as possible. Aoyama-san, do you usually talk to the voice actors? Before COVID happened, we had movie launch parties, so we used to talk a lot. Some time ago, I saw a fireworks display from my living room, so I called all the voice actors and improvised a huge banquet at my house. It was really fun, even though it's still a lot of work. You keep doing it, right, Oda-kun? That's amazing. We usually just do self-service, and I tell them I'm doing a takoyaki party. Then I cook it all without asking the others. Oda-sensei, you said in an old interview that you're glad to be close with all the anime staff, and all of this really does give the impression you get along with animation and production staff. Yeah, it's always been that way. The TV anime started a really long time ago. All of them have become my relatives at this point. Even my children have known them since they were small, so it's almost like a family relationship. Mine's not that far of a relationship, but I have stated many times with determination that this actor should voice this character. For example, Koichi Yamedera, who voiced Tsutomu Akai, a character that recently appeared in the anime, was chosen by me. I sometimes also change the characters in the manga after listening to the voices of their voice actors, thinking to myself, so this is their voice. I shifted Chopper's role to a mascot character after hearing his voice in the TV anime, even when I had a policy of not drawing mascot characters, but Otani Ikui's voice was too cute. It's the same for me. When I heard Otani's voice as Mitsuhiko, I thought it was so cute I started to draw his character cuter. Aoyama-kun, you also overlap voice actor names with their roles, right? Like Takagi-san or Furuya-san? Wataru Takagi-san had an unnamed role back then, but when his character appeared in the TV anime, he became Detective Takagi because he introduced himself saying, please call me Takagi. I made him take responsibility and even appear in the series with his real name. Haha. Furuya Toru's case is in fact a homage to Gandamu's Amuro Rei, a name I separated to give birth to two names, Furuya Rei and Amuro Toru. I hope Gundam fans will be pleased with this. Did you watch Gundam, Oda-kun? I did see Gundam and I liked it, but I think the experiences we had with it are pretty different. I see. Then you didn't watch the first Gundam, Mobile Suit Gundam? No, it was indeed the first Gundam. The boom of the series happened back during your teen times, Aoyama-san, and after that, when I was a little kid, a second boom came. I was under the impression that those rebroadcasts were already a big hit. How are you two usually involved with your series movies? I involved myself since the very beginning of the movie, from scenarios to the content up to getting too involved and frowned upon. Haha. Oda said, also, Detective Conan releases a movie every year, right? I wonder if the disconnected nature of the stories in the series is what makes it work so well, since in my case, every chapter is connected to each other. I have to continuously think about the story in weekly serialization, so I can't really think about different stories. I guess our brains work differently. Usually one case lasts about 3 to 6 chapters in Conan, which makes it easier to plan for a movie, but in One Piece, any case lasts too long. That length may be what makes it difficult to make more movies for the series. It seems pretty hard to handle some sort of side trip to a different island when all the characters are already on their journey to find the One Piece. Not only that, but the crewmates on board keep increasing, so with anything that happens, there is not only one reaction, which just makes the story keep getting extended. Let's put it this way, if the number of detectives in Detective Conan increase, wouldn't that give you trouble? I really don't want to increase the detective team. I'll definitely not increase it. What was your experience watching each other's movies? The Bride of Halloween was really cool. I was surprised when I heard Detective Conan was increasing its female readership, since I always thought it was just a shonen series with a bunch of little kids resolving cases. I wonder why that was, and completely understood it when I saw the movie. Oh, so they really like the police characters and all these handsome grown men. Out of all of Oda-kun's movies, the one I like the most is One Piece Film Gold. It was fun since I've always liked sparkling places like Las Vegas. I want to go to that casino ship, Grand Tesoro. Seriously, thank you. If I had to mention something all of our movies have in common, is that One Piece and Detective Conan, there's always an expansion in the ending. That's the right and classic way of Royal Road shonen manga, isn't it? Oh no, I'm not referring to the narrative with expansion. In Detective Conan, we expand soccer balls, and in One Piece, Luffy can expand his whole body. The bigger they are, the more exciting it is. So that's what you meant. Big is always justice. I guess it's pretty clear we're both from Ultraman's era. I remember that in Film Gold, there were turtles moving cars at the turtle car race. Are you the one that came up with these ideas? I usually leave all the ideas up to the scriptwriter, and I only check the contents of the movie and fix whatever needs to be fixed. Movies belong to directors, so that's something I shouldn't be doing. But if I don't do that, I can't really take responsibility. You draw keyframes for your movies, right? I've been fulfilling that role since the very first movie, The Time Bomb Skyscraper. Such a good movie. And it has been increasing steadily. This year I've drawn around 20 keyframes. I'm pretty sure fans can easily notice which are drawn by you. You could draw movie keyframes too, Oda-kun. If I were to put too much work into the movies, then I wouldn't be able to continue regularly with the weekly series, so it's difficult to handle. I do know that in order to maintain the series' popularity, I have to attract new fans and generate more worldwide buzz with a movie at least once every 3 years, but it's honestly really hard. I know if I have to do it, I'll be pretty picky. I'm aware of my own personality, even if at first I didn't really like it. In the end, I end up meddled even in the advertisement process. I check the booklets handed at theaters and their production deadlines and just supervise everything. I also keep an eye on posters, layouts, and designs. You seriously love this, ha ha ha. Still, I feel bad for my junior mangaka. I created a culture at Jump in which the movie would be a success if the original author gets involved. Yes, you did. So everyone has started to be borrowed to work on them. To my surprise, though, these youngsters are really enjoying it. Not at all. I think it's really good. Everyone seems to be enjoying it. What do you think of the protagonist? Conan is everyone's organizer. To me, Luffy is the easiest character to draw. I always knew that he would be the character that would stay the longest with me. If that's so, what character do you think you're the only person that can write them? I think that's still Luffy. Many scriptwriters try to deal with him, but I have to fix his sentences all the time, otherwise people wouldn't accept him as the Luffy they know. Does Detective Conan have a character like that? A character that always needs to have their lines fixed? In my series, it would be Jin. Everyone always tries to make him say, "I'll kill everyone," and I have to tell them, no, he wouldn't ever say that. Haha. I understand that the characters we also must fix in any movie is the same character we can only write. It's a pretty weird relationship, isn't it? From a reader's perspective, you can notice small details if the characters act differently, but as scriptwriters, it feels like a completely different character. I always have to 100% fix Jin. Lately, scriptwriters just hand me the script, so I directly fix him. Sometimes it's written as some sort of love comedy scene, like Aoyama sensei save me, and I'm like, seriously? Then you immediately fix it, the work becomes a success, and they keep relying on you. Exactly, but it does make me happy they rely on me. Detective Conan and One Piece Decisive points. If you look back at the more than 100 volumes you both have published, which would you say was your most decisive points in the series? That's hard to say, but if I had to choose some points, it would be the chapter I wrote back when I was discharged from the hospital after taking a break due to a sudden illness. That chapter started with Akai and Amuro pointing their pistols at each other, volume 95, chapter 1009. That sounds so cool. When was that chapter released? 4 years ago, I took a long break, so for my comeback I had to draw something popular which pushed me to make that cool scene, although until then I hadn't really been writing anything in the series aiming at that moment. I feel the exact same as you, but my decisive point would be something more recent. Luffy got a new power-up called Gear 5th, which is something I've wanted to draw for a long time. It's surprising you both chose such relatively recent chapters. In One Piece chapter 1044, the real name of the Gumu Gumu no Mi is revealed, and Gear 5th appears letting Luffy fight, changing his whole body. I drew this because I really wanted to have fun, and I think it's okay if people don't like it. I just want to play around with my battles. Since I was an assistant, I felt that silly expressions were so characteristic in manga that I've been gradually lost. Putting a light bulb in a character's head when they come up with some idea, or making the character's legs go in circles when they're running, for example. Right, also those eyes popping out. I've always loved those symbolic expressions, but they keep disappearing. Nobody draws them anymore, even though there are predecessors, creations who also left many formulae we still use. Battle manga have to keep getting more and more serious to keep with readers' expectations, and I honestly hate that. I definitely don't want my work to become a serious manga like that. I want and have decided to have fun, and I feel like I'm finally able to do that. When I was drawing this, I actually had fun. Looks at Gear 5th pictures. Whoa, amazing. I really like the design. It's excellent. I'm also impressed that you're able to draw these kind of faces. Thank you. When thinking about its concepts, you could think of it as suddenly becoming Tom and Jerry. Yep, I like Tom and Jerry. I just can't forgive Jerry. Haha, Jerry. Oh no, I supported Jerry. Really? Tom always tried really hard, but Jerry was too sneaky. I hate Jerry a lot. Although if I had to compare one of them to Conan, he would probably be Jerry. When I tried to draw it for the first time, it was pretty difficult. The world of Tom and Jerry works because both characters, so I struggled a lot looking at the differences in attitude between Luffy, who was making pranks in the middle of the battle, and his serious opponents. But in the end, I feel like I actually pulled it off. The older you get, the harder and more tiring it is to draw battles, isn't it? Well, there aren't many action or battle scenes in Detective Conan, so when I have to draw them, I do it in high spirits. Still, it usually ends pretty fast considering it's just shooting soccer balls. A long time ago, though, I did get tired of it while drawing Yaiba. When the Japanese archipelago became a dragon, it was hard for me and my assistants to pull off those drawings. Even with that, drawing action is a fun experience. Detective Conan has been in serialization since 1994 and One Piece since 97. Since those days till today, what has changed? Back when I was serializing Yaiba, I was addressed as Aoyama-san, but the moment I started serializing Detective Conan, everybody addressed me as Aoyama-sensei. Haha, my editor kept addressing me with the san, but for the people from TV stations or magazines, I started being Aoyama-sensei. I'm always addressed as Oda-san. When I have to deal with younger editors, they usually use honorifics, and so do I, since it's a hierarchical relationship between us, and I cannot complain in such situations. Still, I don't like it because I'm not a sensei, I'm Oda-san. What has changed the most from then until now when it comes to the serialization itself? My weight has indeed changed. When it comes to mangaka, there are those who lose weight and those who gain it. From the moment I started the series, I started to get fat. It was common for me to not eat for 2 to 3 days, and I didn't even have time to eat because I felt sleepy while at it. That's why I usually don't eat as much as other people, because otherwise I can eat a lot. Your body starts to feel weak and threatened, so it absorbs anything you ingest. Still, I don't eat. I gain weight and I just lose at everything. I really don't enjoy talking about this. Haha, I used to be quite fat. Due to it, I got pretty sick and the doctor told me I had to lose weight, which I did, but I think I'm slowly gaining it again. Now, talking seriously, it's like you unconsciously and unwillingly gain some sort of mysterious power. Anything you say can become some kind of big deal. Is people really doing this because I said it? And stuff like that. Yeah, I was honestly thinking the same. Haha, I can't really say many bad things. I have started to feel the responsibility of being careful with whatever I say because my name has grown a lot. Even if I myself haven't changed, it feels like my surroundings and people around me constantly are. Many times my editors are already fans of the series and tell me, I have been reading your work for a really long time, which makes it hard for me to be harsher, and I become way kinder. We also have many assistants or animation staff who are longtime fans of our work, but in the end it's all people who do a really good job because they really love the series. If you were allowed to leave your current position and draw anything you wanted, what would it be? I want to draw a Journey to the West as a battle story. I've always loved Goku. He's the strongest character ever, isn't he? It would be great if I was to answer a mystery series, haha, but I could never pull up such a series. I don't have a brain for that. Haha. I've already drawn everything I wanted to draw. I did want to draw robots in the future, but I decided and have already done that in the series. Everything I have ever wanted to draw is already packed into One Piece, so if I was asked to draw one more time, I would draw One Piece again. Ha, that's great. If I was asked to draw another Detective Conan, I don't know. I do have lots of things I would like to draw in the series too, so I might do that. Love, comedy, friendship, and characters charms. What do you two think is your manga's powers. I think the most important feature of manga is for it to be a tool to make friends. I know it's a pretty common topic, but in fact I did make many friends when I was a child through it. I hope Detective Conan helps people with their love relationships, the way readers can fall in love with like the characters from the series, but well, those mostly end up as murder love comedies. It's all a dream world, so I always strive to draw beautiful scenes. Speaking of love comedies, Aoyama sensei recently said that rom-coms, adventure, and friendship are the 3 elements of shonen manga hits, and it is clear Aoyama sensei is good at love, comedy, and adventure, and Oda sensei is good at adventure and friendship. Love comedies. You haven't drawn anything like that, right, Oda-kun? I haven't. There's a tradition in Jump that states love comedies are love comedies, battles are battles. They're 2 separated genres and totally different works. Oh well, I guess love comedy developments while battling are not for shonen. I haven't read many of those either, but Detective Conan integrates those elements properly. I think you make a really good use of those settings. Well, I do enjoy love comedies, but I guess you're not really interested in them, Oda-kun. I'm not confident I could draw those. It's a bit embarrassing. On the other hand, friendship is a tough theme for me. It's not impossible for me to draw, but I don't really come up with stuff I think, oh, this is cool. I think the only characters I can picture that topic on are the Police Academy members. Detective Conan actually has a lot of romantic relationships, right? It's full of bi-directional feelings, but I also know that if I draw romance, some of my fans leave. I think it's fine when they're one-sided feelings, but if it goes both ways, both characters lose fans. I won't leave. Seriously? On the contrary, I think it's exciting. Most of my characters have couples. It's quite rare to find one without a partner. People seem so supportive of couples. That's something I didn't really read when I was a kid. During the old days of Jump, there were mangaka that wouldn't even draw women. That's why I'm one of those that sent submissions with female characters. I did want to draw strong women, and I think characters like Nami were quite rare back in those days. Nami's popularity was reflected all over the world in the popularity poll commemorating One Piece reaching chapter 1000. Yeah, we did a worldwide popularity poll. When it comes to the 2 main female characters, Nami proved to be overwhelmingly popular in Japan, while adult women like Nico Robin seem to be more popular in the rest of the world. Feelings and tastes are entirely different from one country to another. Aoyama says, I know Detective Conan is pretty popular in China, but I don't think that makes much of a difference. Still, Ai Haibara is pretty popular, especially overseas. Ai Haibara got first place in the major female character popularity vote that Detective Conan held to commemorate the screening of The Bride of Halloween, getting an illustration drawn by Aoyama sensei. Still, it's amazing to look at numbers of characters that appear in both works' popularity polls, and the numbers keep increasing. Even in Detective Conan, there are characters such as Chihaya Hagiwara who have only recently appeared. Aoyama-san, how do you execute your characters' appearances? By pure intuition. If I think I need some sort of new character or that it's missing in the series, I just draw it. How do you decide the name of your characters, Oda-kun? I take them from various places. There was some funny ones. Sanji, Niji, Ichiji, for real? I've been thinking of drawing Sanji's childhood for some time already, and also had thought of setting up him having one brother, but my daughter was really into Osomatsu-san back when I was serializing that part of the story. I want my daughter to like my work, so I try to compete with the sextuplets by making quadruplets. Hahaha. How are readers' impressions dealt with? I'm sure you both receive lots of fan letters from readers every week, but what kind of feedback are you most pleased to receive? I appreciate any kind of feedback, but I'm especially happy with people who write what they liked about that week's chapter specifically. So that's what you paid attention to? When I read those comments, I go back to the manga and read those parts. I start to grin and read it over and over while thinking, oh yeah, that was good. Have you thought of sending your own fan letters, or have you ever sent one already? Not at all. I think it actually takes a lot of work, but it sounds amazing. Thank you for that. Every time One Piece and Detective Conan publish a new chapter, fans are really excited to talk about them. Do you two read your readers' discussions? I wanted to talk about this with Aoyama-san too. It seems that there are a lot of discussion groups recently, right? Yes, on the internet, like with YouTubers. Many people in my series discussions groups try to predict future developments of the series. Some of them get stuff right, haha, which is why I try not to read many of them. Do they get stuff right too in detective series like Detective Conan? They do guess stuff. They're sometimes pretty quick figuring out things. In the end, it's just one person against millions of people. If they united their knowledge, cases could be solved in less than a day. Against millions of people, that's truly impossible. Detective lovers like to guess and think a lot. Many readers guessed Renya Karasuma was the boss of the black organization. What do you think in the situation like that? Is it troublesome? No, rather I just say, people guessed it, so I'll reveal it, and I just reveal it. There are still more secrets beyond that. Actually, do you read your readers' predictions and overturn them, Oda-kun? Well, there are some things I can change and things I cannot. When reveals are too big, my readers can guess them since I have foreshadowed them all. Due to this, I try to come up with the most interesting developments and always go beyond readers' imaginations. When I started the serialization, my only way to connect with fans was through fan letters. I never thought the world would become the way it is now, with everyone talking about everything on the internet. If I had known times like this would come, I would have never given hints in the series. I see. However, I'm sometimes asked if many outside the box theories are true or not, and I kind of feel bad for those who come up with them when I inadvertently give some answer. I probably have destroyed lots of ideas everyone was thinking about without knowing what would happen in the future with just a single word. I feel bad about it, so I recently came up with the best answer. Yes, that's right. I think it's an answer that can be taken either way. Haha. That's indeed one way to settle it. Foreshadowing moments that are recovered after many years is a common trait of both your works. When I read Detective Conan, I was surprised at how tight and solid all the settings were. My approach is a little bit different since there's some obvious foreshadowing, but at the same time I have created a lot of voids in the series. This method of leaving various blanks let me think this point could be connected to this other one this way or that way. Aside from exaggerated foreshadowing that happens every few decades, you can also take your time to pick up plot points that have been left pending. If you create reasonings and threads for everything like in Detective Conan, it will be harder to execute later on. Back when I was working on Yaiba, I used to draw in the same way you described. People would really be surprised when later on in the series I connected parts I left open in the story. Yeah, but you work differently now, Aoyama-san. Now I work with everything firmly in place. Detective Conan is a big mystery as a whole. Aoyama-san, when did you start telling your editors about the identity of the black organization boss? Well, I'm currently with my 13th editor, but I've been telling them about it since I had my 8th editor. What's the secret to reaching 100 volumes? When drawing a series, how are you able to change your mood if you get stuck? Oda-sensei answered previously like this: I don't change my mind. I want to keep drawing, so I put myself under a lot of pressure by calling my staff and telling them to wait for me. Isn't that an interview from a long time ago? Nowadays, I need to take way more breaks, and I have become quite health conscious. How do you clear up your mind, Aoyama-san? I play video games and watch movies, but playing is playing and work is work. I can't do anything if I don't separate those two. I've never been able to do two things at the same time. What games do you play? Contact Collection and Animal Crossing. Easy and simple games. Don't you do any physical exercise? Nowadays I don't, but I used to play baseball. Before COVID, I used to gather some friends to play soccer together, but with time I realized it's a little too tough of a sport for my body. I also used to be in the soccer club, but I'm so out of shape now I have completely abandoned that career. I was in the kendo club, but I don't move my body as much now. I only go out to buy lunch. We're a bit unhealthy, aren't we? I also go out to walk and play Pokemon Go. Maybe I should start walking too, haha. With serializations this long, how do you figure out when to take breaks? Right now, Conan runs in 3-chapter bursts and then takes a break, while a spin-off takes its place for a fairly comfortable pace. So I can take about a month to draw the storyboards for a single case. That only works because of the kind of series Detective Conan is, right? People are more accepting in regard to Conan going on break because the case ends beforehand. One Piece, on the other hand, is a constantly progressing story, so I can't have long breaks in the same vein as Conan. Nowadays, I'm starting to get more breaks from Jump so I can relax a bit more, though ultimately one still has to work even when the series is on break, huh? Right. I don't rest at all. If I'm not drawing the manga, then I'm doing work for the movies. There's no rest for the weary, is there? Do the two of you have any secrets regarding continuing a serialization for more than 100 volumes without taking that many breaks? Nope. People ask me about it often, but I honestly don't have any secrets to reveal. How about you, Oda-kun? Ditto. To begin with, it's not like it was my intention to surpass 100 volumes. When Detective Conan first started, I thought it wouldn't last longer than a volume, but around the 2nd chapter, so I thought, it's actually getting popular? I was surprised at how it was constantly #1 in the rankings. At that point, I knew it'd be trouble if I didn't expand on the story more. Oda says, I've always wanted to end the series. That being said, I also think about how there's so much I still want to or need to draw. I totally get that. There's still so much story left to tell. You're really having a blast, Aoyama-san. I think that's amazing. I've also been told by senior Jump mangaka, it's incredible you're having so much fun. Really? Why is that? Because everyone is struggling to continue drawing. What? Seriously? That can't be right. So if there is a secret to your success, would it be enjoying what you do? Yes, I think so. The more you enjoy drawing, the faster you want to get putting out great storyboards. You really love mysteries. Do you ever get tired of drawing different cases? I do love them. I've loved Sherlock Holmes since I was a child, you know. Coincidentally, in elementary school, I wrote in the graduation album that I wanted to be a mangaka specializing in private detectives. What I love is the times where I freely draw the settings for different islands. Ever since the story entered the Grand Line, I've been free to do whatever I want. Fierce seas in which kingdoms can't see or interact with each other, or islands with totally different cultures and climates. When the story reaches a new island, I illustrate all of that. So if I were asked that I'd want to draw more of, I'd like to be able to draw islands that unferreted, but I have to take my lifespan into account. Ah yes, there's some similarities to that in Detective Conan. Like for example, if I want to draw soccer, then I can center a murder case around a soccer player, though that has to be in the confines of 3 chapters or so. If I had a secret as to how I've been able to continue drawing this long, that might be it. Detective Conan allows me to draw whatever I want. For things I like, such as baseball, all it takes is finding a good opportunity to center a story around them. When the two of you are drawing, which do you think gives the most trouble, the artwork or the plot? Both probably. Both can be a pain, but they can be fun too, right? Oda says, oh, for me it's the plot that's troublesome. I never get tired of drawing. After the planning of the storyboards is done, then it's all about drawing, so I often find myself wanting to get done with storyboards sooner. I love drawing, so I wish I had more time to draw what I want, but even when I don't have a lot of time, I manage to make do somehow. It's the storyboards that I'm slow with. I think I was the same way back when I was your age. If not, there's no way I would have been able to keep a schedule with only 3 hours of sleep. I was a real mess back then and barely made it at all in time compared to now where I can be calm and collected. Though when not asleep, one can keep creating and be successful, right? Meanwhile, it's when one is at rest that they become most anxious. When I was sick and admitted into the hospital, I couldn't help but worry. Is it really okay for me to stop there and such? Yeah, I get you. It gets you totally anxious. I was sick once for a bit, and despite being in the hospital, I took my color tools with me and did a color spread from the hospital. It's hard to calm down. Even in my case, I asked to draw a special illustration as a gift to Sunday super readers, and the fans got angry at the publisher. Aoyama-san is in the hospital and you're still making him work, even though it was me who asked to do it. Being in the hospital, you'd think that I'd rest and relax. Instead, I got excited and really wanted to draw and insisted that just one color page wouldn't hurt me. Being in a serialization is like being chased in a race. Fundamentally, there's no such thing as downtime because deadlines are always around the corner. Generally speaking, what are editor meetings like for you two? They're usually around 2 in the afternoon. The editor comes to my house and for a while we discuss stuff like TV and magazines for a while. Discussions about the manuscript begin in the evening. Your meetings seem to be so long. They sure do. The editor in charge usually comes up with ideas for culprits, methods, but there are times occasionally where he can't come up with anything. We'll come back around to it the next day in those cases where we end at midnight. A long time ago, we'd stay up until dawn coming up with ideas, but not so much now that we're older. How do your editorial meetings go? All of mine are via phone. Wow, voice only? A long time ago we meet in person, but before long it just became easier to take notes and speak on the phone. After all, one can tell someone's expressions through their voice, and when listening to the tone you could tell their reaction as to whether they like something or not. Though getting back to me, ours is a continuing project, so we get through the meetings 1 week at a time with the mentality that we have to clear that week to get to the next one. How long until the final chapter? Both of your series have reached their critical junctures together. The identity of the black organization's second in command, Rum, has been revealed, and One Piece has reached its final arc. Truly, at the start I thought One Piece would end in 5 years, and in about a year and a half Luffy's crew of 10 would have gathered together. I thought of it like a video game, but I was far too naive. It's not that I wanted things to keep getting longer, that's just what ended up happening. Same, haha. Have you ever thought to yourself, okay, it's time for Detective Conan to end, this is between us, but I've already drawn the storyboard of the final chapter. What? Maybe I shouldn't have said that. I don't want someone to come and steal it, haha. So as I mentioned earlier, I was in the hospital for a bit once. I got to thinking that people can up and die without warning, so I figured, why not draw it? This was about 5 years ago, so I figured drawing the storyboard wouldn't be a big deal, though for now, it's a stand-in. I guess it's just on a whim, but if you actually drew it, at least you were able to do it at your leisure. You could say that, yeah, it wasn't such a big deal because I've already decided on the major details, but there are arcs and stories I'd have to get to beforehand. How long will it take until the final chapter? That's a secret, haha. I might decide to redraw the finale in the future. I've always pictured what the final chapter of One Piece would be like, though from time to time the situation surrounding it changes. Interesting. It will still be over when the One Piece is found in the series. Anyway, the next arc is the final one. Seriously? Is it really going to end? Yep, to me this is really the final arc. I'm just going to ask this flat out. How many years are left until the final chapter? I'm not sure how many years it will take. I have answered this question so many times already, I have lost credibility, so I don't think I should answer. Aoyama said, haha, yeah, I think that too. Oda said, I really shouldn't say this out loud because so far I've been pretty off, but I'd personally like to go for 3 more years. But you don't know for sure. It all depends on how the characters act. We're all merely navigators in these stories. Oda-san, does your editor know how the story will go up until the end? I'm on my 11th editor now, but I make it a point to tell every successive editor the entire story from beginning to end, though it's become a bit of a pain lately, so I've been breaking it up into parts. Although some of the particulars change from time to time, the goal remains the same. There have been some outrageous plot twists during the serialization, but the flow of the story has been so rock solid that past editors are surprised. They ask me, are you sure you can just do that? But then they don't remember anyway, hahaha. Have you drawn the finale yet, Oda-kun? I've got notes of all thoughts I've made before they reach a new island, as well as a notebook of the most profound mysteries of One Piece that I've created. Maybe I should steal it. Though I've also got my notes on the Akai family and their resolution, which is about 3 pages or so. When I get a new editor, I let them have a look, but it's so complex they don't remember, so by the time the story reaches the serialization proper, they're surprised by the events, despite me not deviating from the notes I showed them. Though, well, the finale is already there. When I give that over, it'll be one go. Do you have any plans for after the final chapters are done? I'd like to go on a trip and stay at a new place every night. I'd like to move, or that's what I would say, but I also don't want to either. It's probably not much better than Oda-kun's, but I've got a lot of stuff which makes moving a pain. You wouldn't go on a trip? I did once upon a time. I went to London to look at the British Museum because Detective Conan original manuscripts were exhibited there. I also went to Vauxhall Bridge to get materials for Mary and Vermouth's showdown there, though after that, coronavirus happened. I want to go overseas and travel to hot springs around the entire world until I die. A long time ago, I wanted to go to Brazil to see the World Cup, though when I was leaving Japan, the passport inspection dude stared at my passport for an uncomfortable long amount of time. I asked him if anything was the matter, and he said, I was worried because I want to keep reading the continuation of Detective Conan. Please have a safe trip and return. Like, seriously? He realized who you really are. It is a fairly unusual name. It'd probably be embarrassing to say it out loud in the hospital. Like someone saying we share the same name, but lately I've been secretly referred to just as Aoyama-san. My name has become a big deal as of late too, so when at the hospital out of consideration for me, they've been careful in calling me out, though I was already getting shoutouts when I was only partially famous. Are there any highlights fans should be on the lookout for going forward? I have to draw a case where Rum once had both of his eyes, as well as how that connects to Akai Shuichi's father, Tsutomu. Maybe that'll be interesting for readers. For me, this is tough to answer. There'll be lots for sure, but I want readers to be surprised, so I don't know if I should say it here. True. Well, for now, the past will be a big deal. Something once happened in the world during the Void Century, which will come to light soon and should prove both fun and interesting. What I find the most fun is when readers are enjoying themselves. It's truly a ton of fun. Give us your closing thoughts, please. Aoyama, I don't want One Piece to end before Detective Conan. Oda says, that's what I was going to say too, haha. Good luck continuing One Piece. Well, when the time to end comes, let's make it exciting. That'd be amazing. Thanks for coming today. But that's all I have for this one. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule. Anime and manga for life, boy. Have an awesome day. Peace in, and yeah, shout outs to Oda and Gosho Aoyama.
So just go to find me.